up, Leaguers? Welcome to the Spectacular Spoiler League. I'm the Pandan Superman, the mayor of Hype City, Hazyrome, and as always, I'm joined by the God of Night, the Prime Minister of Post-Production, Deepboyce. And today we are here to talk about the top 5 things we want to see for each character in Justice League, the upcoming film in the DC movie universe, everybody. So we want to talk about some character developments that we want to see for, the Justice Leaguers in this film. And we came up with a list of 5 things that we wanted to see in particular. This is not a, 1 to 5, this is our number 1 answer. This is just 5 things, the top 5 things that we want to see. So, Deepboyce, start us off with your boy, Henry Cavill.
Yeah, I mean, it's no mystery that Superman will be in this movie. I mean, they're telegraphing it from a million miles away. And that's fine. I mean, he's a founding member. He's part of the Trinity. He's a founding member of the Justice League.
Indeed, he deserves to be there. He is
absolutely. And honestly, I still feel like that character deserves more character development. But what we would want to see is for Superman to just not be a Deus Ex Machina, or basically just as a tool used to defeat a villain. Honestly, I feel like worst case scenario would be the Justice League is about to be defeated and suddenly Superman comes out of nowhere and he's Superman, so he beats up everybody and then they win because Superman is just Superman. That's not doing him any favors. We want to see the impact of Superman not being there and then how much it really means to the team and the world that Superman comes back, because technically he's the leader of the Justice League, I guess.
Technically, yeah. Technically in the comics, I mean, him and Batman seem to kind of take turns in the comics, but a lot of times Batman's kind of not even about being with the Justice League. But, I mean, he is, I think we can easily say he is one of, if not the leader of the Justice League.
Because he is, I guess you could say, the figurehead of DC Comics or of the Justice League, even though, I mean, who knows, maybe Batman is more successful, makes more money, but, Superman's still important. He's usually let's put it this way, he's placed in front. Whenever they pose, Superman is in the front.
Yeah, and him being a Deus Ex Machina, it just doesn't serve the character well, as you said. It also doesn't serve the plot of Justice League and its prospective sequel, which we think will deal with Darkseid, stepping in, after Steppenwolf's inevitable either defeat, failure, or him maybe not being as successful, or his retreat, whatever it may be. But like Superman, it would be great to see him come in and knock some heads, but we don't need him completely solving the issue as soon as he gets there. As soon as he were to come back, we need him. I would love to see him maybe even be in a vulnerable state. Maybe he's not quite up to where he needs to be. Like, for example, in the comics, when he dies, he comes back in an all-black suit, which he needs to recharge his body because he's not quite up to full strength. So that's what I want to see from Superman in this movie. I want to see him kind of have to struggle with maybe not being where he needs to be, and also maybe struggling with the fact that he was faced with his own mortality in a sense, for a certain amount of time. So no Deus Ex Machina to Superman's, okay? Give him some time to step into the limelight and do what he needs to do. All right. Thank you, DC. Next up, Deepboyce, number 2, what we got?
We've got sowing the seeds of Batman and the Flash's relationship, which is a relationship to me, it seems like it's one that is a bit underrated, that is kind of interesting. It's kind of cool because Batman and Flash share some similarities, and they're able to, kind of relate on a level that neither one of them can relate with other members of the Justice League. And I guess we sort of got little inklings of that, particularly with the teaser trailer where you see Bruce Wayne and Barry Allen interacting, and maybe that's kind of the beginnings of a mentorship type of role where Barry, because this is a young Barry Allen, obviously you also have an older Bruce Wayne, which Hazy absolutely loves. So,
don't get me started on older Batman, man. I'm not. I don't want that. I want a younger Batman. But anyway.
But they both share the tragedy of having lost a parent. The Flash, Barry Allen lost his mom. Bruce Wayne lost his parents. And Batman is the world's greatest detective. And the Flash, rather, Barry Allen is, nothing to scoff at in terms of his CSI skills. He works He works for the Central City Police Department as a CSI, and that's something that they oftentimes kind of get together and just kind of trade off. They brainstorm at times, you know, most notably in the DC Rebirth event, the DC Rebirth event, The Button, that happened this year between Batman and the Flash.
Yeah, I mean, one of the panels I think was really cool was, you know, him and Batman were trying to figure out the mystery of the, you know, the titular button. And, you know, Barry says, you know, Bruce Wayne is one of the only people he can talk shop with because they both have that, as you mentioned, that detective, you know, background, that, you know, that scientific background in that sense, the scientific method background, where, you know, you're trying to, you know, see how you can come up with, you know, an answer to a question. And to be honest with you, like, I think most people don't really know that Batman and Flash have that type of relationship. And I thought it was really cool in Rebirth to kind of hash that out. And to further, like, you know, solidify that relationship in Flashpoint, which is, you know, a movie that is going to be happening for DC. At the end of the Flashpoint comic, Flash comes back to his time, and he essentially, or I should say his universe, his now fixed, in air quotes, fixed timeline. And he brings Bruce Wayne a letter from the alternate universe Batman, Thomas Wayne, his father. And we see Bruce Wayne shed a tear in the Flashpoint comic. And I think that helped to forge that relationship even further. And to a certain extent, I think Bruce looks to Barry like a character who represents hope in the same way that Superman does. And given his youth in the movie, I think, you know, Batman being a more seasoned hero, maybe he sees that in the movie as well.
Yeah, and
you know?
Let's also not forget in Batman vs. Superman, there was the sort of dream sequence where the Flash comes in from the future in a portal or something like that.
True.
And reaches out, you know, to Bruce Wayne. I think it means a lot that he went to Bruce Wayne, of all people.
True, because he says, "Find us." He's like, "You have to find us" in that scene. Yeah, I completely forgot about that.
I think that was rather intentional. I don't think it just happened to just do that for whatever reason. Even though it was a scene that people are still kind of scratching their heads at, but maybe it'll play into the Flashpoint movie. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe. And, you know, there's also other cool things about the Flash-Batman dynamic, you know, where they're both seemingly, like, incorruptible characters, where Batman is all about the mission. Batman is 100% a character who will never cross that line of killing. And Barry Allen, you know, in a less serious extent, he's an incorruptible character because he'll never give up this notion that he needs to help people. And he's always trying to, you know, one of Barry's struggles you see in the comics is him trying to figure out, like, how to be Barry Allen and still, you know, save as many people as you can. And the way he interacts with the people of Central City, I mean, definitely as opposed to Batman, he enjoys being the Flash, you know, in certain respects. And he's a sense of hope and a sense of pride for Central City. And I think him being, you know, them both being incorruptible characters is something they could bond over. You know, and I also think the notion of Batman being this super serious guy who, like, never ever, you know, cracks a smile because he's too busy, you know, still mourning his parents' death. It would be cool to see him interact with Flash, who maybe could bring some levity to his life. And maybe, you know, on the flip side, Batman could bring sort of a role model, as you said, to the Flash's life, him being a young hero in the DCEU. Yep. But on to number 3, everybody. We want to see Cyborg's humanity explored. So Cyborg, me and Deepboyce, we both agree, Cyborg needs to be fleshed out in this movie. It is important and it is imperative that he's fleshed out in this movie because he really hasn't had much shine. The only thing we've seen is in Batman vs. Superman, that crazy, you know, scene where the mother box technology is essentially, you know, fixing his body in its own way. And we need to see Cyborg explore his humanity because he isn't like the other Justice Leaguers. Like, he doesn't know, he looks in the mirror and he sees a completely different thing. He doesn't know what he is. And I think, you know, you look in the trailer, he seems to be a little bit soft-spoken. He seems to be, there are some scenes with him, like, wearing a hood, kind of hiding his appearance. He seems to feel like an outcast. And I think it's important to see Cyborg go on the journey of being someone who feels like an outcast, someone who doesn't belong, to feeling like he has a purpose and realizing that there's still a part of him that's human and that part does matter still. But Deepboyce, man, what do you got to say about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree with your sentiments on that. I mean, when I look at Cyborg, I really get the sense that they're supposed to tell, or maybe he's a Frankenstein's monster type of a character, kind of like a tragic character who, you know, for all intents and purposes, was going to live, you know, a promising life as an athlete, and it was derailed by some accident. And as you see in Batman vs Superman, his father, who is a very intelligent scientist, has a mother box and is able to, I guess, repair him with that mother box, which kind of, I guess, gives him now a tie. I mean, not only does it give him his powers and everything and turns him into a cyborg, but it gives him ties to, you know, the denizens of Apocalypse, who are obviously supposed to be the major villains in the Justice League movie and from here on in. So, you know, Steppenwolf being one of them. So there's a possibility there. Again, to make him a little bit more important, to give him a little bit more to do and to work with. Maybe he's seen as a product of Darkseid in his vision, you know, as a product of Apocalypse and you know, the evil forces.
Yeah, maybe he struggles with that.
Struggles with that because he's trying to find his way. Now that he is no longer human, he doesn't know what he is. He may see himself as some sort of monstrosity. He doesn't know, is he human? Is he a robot? Is he in the middle? What does it mean to be human? He's going to have to start struggling with all of these questions. And, you know, I think that's an interesting dynamic to have that I don't, you know, no other hero on the Justice League really has that. I mean, Superman, I guess Superman can kind of relate. Even though he's just fully a Kryptonian, you know, Wonder Woman is not exactly human either, and also maybe Aquaman can kind of relate, being half human, half Atlantean. But again, you know, whenever I think of Cyborg, I always kind of see him as a bit of a lonely figure at times because he's, you know, he's sort of in charge of the Watchtower or computations or communications and transportation.
Sure. And although those other characters you mentioned, you know, and including Batman as well, although they do things that aren't like regular people, they can still walk the streets in some form, in some identity. Like Wonder Woman, you know, still has, you know, an identity outside of being Wonder Woman. I mean, it doesn't necessarily solve the problem, you know, that doesn't necessarily solve all her problems, but you know, she can walk on the streets as a normal person. Superman can walk on the streets as Clark Kent. Batman can walk as Bruce Wayne. Flash can walk as Barry Allen, and even Aquaman, he can walk around as you know, Arthur Curry. I mean, his eyes are a little weird, but he can rock some contacts. But Cyborg is the one where you immediately, it's not just that he doesn't feel human, like these other characters may not feel normal. You know what I mean? Obviously, Bruce Wayne is human, but these other characters may feel like they're not normal. But he not only feels that internally, when people see him, he knows that they don't know. They think he's not normal. And that, I think, is important. Like, these other characters, I think, can hide behind whatever respective mask. But he doesn't have that mask. He is who he is. And I want to see him deal with that. I think that could make Cyborg compelling in the time they have for Justice League. So, anyway, on to number 4, man. Number 4, we want to see Wonder Woman defending Earth and remembering why she left Themyscira and rediscovering her sense of hope and positivity. Because with Wonder Woman, we find out that, you know, after, you know, the events of the Wonder Woman film, she essentially, you know, abandoned humanity. You know, she essentially, I guess she felt some type of, you know, negativity about what she saw in the war. And, you know, when she left Themyscira, she not only believed that she was keeping her people, the Amazon, safe, she also felt that she was bettering the world and that she was going to be the Amazon's gift to the world. And in that sense, you know, with her walking away from humanity and her just trying to not really be Wonder Woman per se, she kind of walked away from the original reason why she left Themyscira. And, you know, I think that she needs to realize that she has the power to protect the world and her people, the Amazons, but she also has the obligation within, because that's the reason that she set out on this path in the first place. But Deepboyce, man, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we see illusions of that in Batman versus Superman, where, you know, she comes in and she's doing what she's doing, and then she's really she's on a plane to I'm not sure where. She's just gonna leave. I want something to do with whatever's going on in Metropolis / Gotham. But then she has second thoughts and decides, you know what, it's probably best that I step in because I came here like almost 100 years ago for a reason, to this world of man. And like you said, definitely remembering again, because it's been 100 years. And that's really the one thing about this character. Well, her and I guess Batman, where they have an extensive background and extensive history already with, know, being crime fighters, and her kind of remembering what it is that she is here for, what it is she left to do in the first place. And, you know, obviously the movie's not out, so we don't know details of the plot, but we have seen a number of scenes and clips of Amazons getting into some sort of big fight. We don't know if that's in present day or in the past. So there's a possibility.
Yeah, most people speculating that it's in the past, but you know, it's not confirmed.
But regardless, even if it were in the past, that would still kind of compel her to make a move, to be involved, because it didn't seem like it was anything light, whatever kind of struggle this was.
Sure, and this was something that her people felt compelled to fight for. So maybe, you know, in that sense, she sees that, you know, if this was a task that my people fought and died for, and to a certain extent, I mean, we've seen in the latest trailers that it looks like, you know, Apocalypse recruits its parademons from, you know, some of the people that, you know, Apocalypse conquers. Maybe even to a certain extent, some of those parademons are her, you know, her sisters from the Amazonian people. So maybe she feels compelled, and that might make her rediscover her tie to the Amazons, and in that process realizing why she left, and that was to be a beacon of hope and to save the world, for lack of a better way to say.
And she also continues to realize how difficult and how complicated it is. You know, if you saw Wonder Woman, she was really naive in how simple she thought things were going to be, and you know, and the fact that she would go fight the bad guy and then come back and go home and be happy with her family. But things continue to become more complicated. If, again, like you said, they are Amazonians that were either imprisoned or, you know, willingly recruited into the paradigms of the forces of Darkseid, or
potentially,
you know, whether it's this other force that is not of the gods, it's something that's way out in space that threatens not only the Amazons but also humanity as a whole, or, you know, universes, galaxies. You know, it's again, it begins to kind of expand on her idea of what it means to be Wonder Woman, what it means to be that hero, and, you know, how she can reconcile all different aspects of her, you know, her character, how she stands.
Absolutely. And with that note, with the idea of reconciling your character and remembering who you are, number 5, we need to see Aquaman acknowledging and embracing his Atlantean culture and acquiring a sense of responsibility towards the people of Atlantis. Now, with Aquaman, there's 2 reasons why we say he needs to gain a sense of responsibility. From the trailers, from what we've seen, it seems like Aquaman, there's 2 sides of him we see. The first side is, you know, Batman going to recruit him and him being some type of rogue. You know, he does do some things to, I guess, assist the people that he's around, and, you know, he's even developed the name the Aquaman, you know, as some sort of, you know, urban legend. But we see him sort of like a, you know, a drunkard, a rogue, you know, someone who doesn't want to embrace, who seems like he's running away from who he is. And, you know, the other thing is we see him fighting alongside the other Justice Leaguers and having a ridiculous amount of fun, and, you know, shouting things and, you know, just seeming like he's enjoying the fights. But I think with Arthur Curry, I think he needs to realize that he has an obligation to protect his people. And I think that, you know, in contrast to, you know, all the other characters who, you know, I think they realize the stakes. I think and they realize the bigger picture, that the world is at stake. I want him to see that, but I also want him to be like, well, the people of Atlantis are also at stake, and I've abandoned them. And now that I'm coming to, you know, save the world and to be there, maybe I need to go back and be a protector of them. Maybe the parademons even come after, you know, the Atlanteans, and he feels guilty about not being there to protect them. I mean, we know Mira is a character in Justice League. Maybe she has something to do with that. She represents his tie that he's been running away from.
Yeah. I mean, his time fighting alongside heroes that are human and not human probably gets kind of the gears rolling in his mind about Atlantis, or the Atlantean nations, not being isolationists, how they have been for so long.
Right.
That That everyone really
right.
does need to work together, whether it's the Atlanteans, humans, Amazons, Kryptonians.
Come together, man. That's the theme of Justice
Yes,
League,
exactly. And I forgot what the slogan of the movie was. I think it was we.
I think it's we can't
the world
save.
Alone. Yes.
Yeah.
So, and that's probably that's a really good theme if that's what the movie's going for. I mean, I feel like that can apply to almost every single character that is on the team. I mean, Superman would be all for that. And Wonder Woman has been on and off. Batman, I mean, come on, that guy is forever a loner, but sometimes he realizes he needs to work together. Barry Allen is a bit of a loser, but he realizes, hey, I found some friends.
He needs friends, apparently.
And Arthur Curry as the king of Atlantis, he needs to. It's not always about lording over other people. You need to work alongside other people, and
maybe he needs to own up to the fact that he's been running away from who he is.
Yeah, absolutely. Because in the same way he would help out humans or anyone else, he'll probably learn that they'll be there for him as well. Because there's one scene in particular where you see Wonder Woman, Flash, and Aquaman somewhere. I don't know where it is. I guess they kind of get in formation or something. Maybe that's somewhere in Atlantis. It looks like they're in some sort of alien ship. We don't know. Maybe they're fighting. They go back to Atlantis to help out the Atlanteans.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that is important, you brought up Superman, and I just wanted to say something, in terms of what he may see from a revived Superman. Superman is someone who, he's done the loner thing that Aquaman has done. He did that in Man of Steel, but he realized that, although he doesn't have a home anymore, he doesn't have Krypton, he still has these people, and he still, although he has these powers that make him, different from a human, he still is human. His heart is human, and that leads him to want to defend humanity. And I think, potentially Superman can make Aquaman realize, like, hey, I don't have a home to defend, or I don't have my original home. I don't have people. I don't have Kryptonians here with me, but you still have that. Don't run away from that. Protect it, because if I could protect Krypton, if I could protect those people, if I could have protected them so that I could have a home, I would, but I don't have that opportunity. So in order for Krypton to live on in me, maybe I need to protect these people of Earth and make sure what happened to Krypton doesn't happen here. And likewise, you should do that for the Atlanteans who are still here and who you can still save if you so choose. So maybe that will help Aquaman see an evolution in his character, you know what I mean, and allow his character to see some growth.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But without further ado, let us know what you think about the top 5 things we want to see from the characters in Justice League. Let us know if you agree with any of the points we made. Let us know if we didn't make a point that you think we should have made about things we want to see. And by all means, support the Spectacular Spoiler League by hitting that subscribe button so you could join the Leaguer cause, man. We can't save the world alone, everybody. We need you guys in the Spectacular Spoiler League. Drop a like on the video to help this video get out there. Help us, recruit more Leaguers to the cause. And turn on that little notification icon, a little bell right next to the subscribe button so you could be up to date with the latest and greatest coming from the Spectacular Spoiler League. We'll see you guys on the next one.